welcome to another episode of Conversations with a Counselor. My name is Kim McGuire. I'm the school counseling coordinator for Savannah Chatham County Schools. And today I am pleased to have with me a representative who is always supportive of the work that we do here with Savannah Chatham County Public Schools. And that is Ashley Dubois here with us from MembersFirst Credit Union. And like I said, they've been a long-time supporter. And today we're going to talk about money management. And you may say, why do counselors talk about money management? But believe it or not, your money and how you manage it can honestly impact your overall health and well-being, as well as the opportunities that are available to you. So we thought this topic would be important for our students and also for our families to have some information on, especially as we navigate during these difficult times due to COVID-19. So Ashley, thank you for joining us today. And can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And we are very excited to continue to support Savannah Chatham County Public School System. We've been a business partner for probably 3 or 4 years now. So again, my name is Ashley Dubois. I am the Business Development Officer for MembersFirst Credit Union here in Savannah. We have a local office at 67th and Paulson Street. And very excited to announce that we are almost finished with building our branch in Pooler. So we're doing a lot of work with the school zone Pooler side of town as well. So in my role, I cover all of Chatham, Bryan, and Effingham County. And I support the school system, the teachers, the parents, the students is one of my groups that I help. And then obviously I support the community and other groups in the community as well too. And when I say support, I just, offer financial guidance like we're going to talk about today, and anything that I can do to help, with the financial well-being of each person I come in contact with.
Okay, well, great information. And I'm pretty sure that the information that you share will be something that all of our students and our parents alike will be able to take advantage of. So let's kind of dive right in. Why is money management so important? Why is this a topic that, our students and our parents need to make sure that they have accurate information about?
Yeah, obviously it's very important. So, we hate to say it this way, but money kind of makes the world go round, right? And, we all need it to survive, but we all need different levels and we all value money differently. But I think we've all learned this past year that it's even more important to make sure you manage your money properly because anything could happen. And we found that out this year. And if you don't save properly for every little thing, every little step in life, then you won't be prepared. And money is the most stressful thing that people stress over. If you're not financially stable, then it's hard for you to focus on your job. It's hard for you to focus on your kids that you're trying to put through college. So money management is extremely important. And if you can have the knowledge that you need to help you and your family and run your household so you can live better financially, it's very helpful.
Okay. And just some of the reasons why you would need to know that deal with, your reasons to save. So, of course, sometimes your first home or retirement, which I know that can seem like it's so far out of reach for a lot of people, but also other things like college or first car, or even if it's for something that may just be a want, like a TV or something, along those lines. Can you talk a little bit about some of those reasons to save?
Oh, yes. So think about, right now the position that some of you may be in is obviously putting your child through college. And what comes after college, like you said, is your first car. And it's very important if you can save for those items so you can be more prepared. Maybe even, the first goal for first car may be just saving for a down payment. And then, like you said, we don't really think that far out in retirement, but it's so important, because whenever we get to retirement, to be able to have a nest egg underneath us, so so that you can fully retire and enjoy those years of life, it is something to think about at a young age. So I highly recommend any students that may be listening to think about the now, think about the short-term goals, and think about your long-term goals. And they do kind of fall in suit of, think about those life stages. Right now, college. Think about, how are you going to buy your books? How are you going to survive through college? Are you going to live at home? Are you going to live in a dorm? Where are you going to live? How are you going to get the things that you need to get through however many years of college that you decide to go through? And then think about transportation, because each of those steps, they all revolve around having some sort of dollars to pay for them, to buy those things that you need. And then when you go a little bit further on in life, that first home, I hear it from so many individuals. I have taught several classes with the school system, and I've had people of all different ages in the school system, from, I've taught 5th grade all the way up to the seniors, and they have all asked, like, what do I need to do to get those steps, and it's saving and planning and working with your mentors and your parent or guardians to help you along that way. So yeah, it's very important to try to think through all of those different levels in life.
Right. So that's one of the big pieces. And I know sometimes it can seem difficult to plan. But at least if you have that foundational piece or that plan there, you have something to kind of build from. And that's what you got to think about with the savings account. You may not have all that you need, but it at least allows you to have a foundation. So let's kind of talk about some of the types of savings account, because not all are the same.
Oh yeah, exactly. So, when you're talking about and thinking about those different savings plans, you kind of want to think about just like a regular savings account. And there's different ways that you can save, right? Some people want to put it into an account. Some people may want to put it under the mattress, like my grandmother used to do, But think about your regular savings accounts for just your everyday wants, anything that you may want. So that could be kind of one regular savings account that you have. And then some people have another account that could be called your Christmas savings account or your holiday savings account. And that could be what you truly save for Christmas. I help a lot of people every day that just maybe puts $5 away every time they get paid or every time they get an allowance, just to kind of save for those holiday expenses. So that's another type of savings. What we've all learned, I think, as an emergency savings account or a living expense savings account could have really helped a lot of people out this last year. And the difference between those two, emergency savings is, think about if you get sick and you have to, you can't work anymore. If you can have some money saved up to cover that time that you're not at work, then you would use those funds to help pay your everyday bills. On the flip side of that is your living expense savings account. It is recommended that at least 6 months of living expenses is saved up in this particular savings fund. And when you think about your living expenses, think about the roof over your head, the car that you drive. If you are still in school, how are you going to pay for those books for the next semester? So think about everything that you have to have. And it is recommended that it's 6 months of that is saved up and then it's put into this living expenses. Now, obviously, it takes some time to get into that. I mean, I'm still working on it myself, right? I mean, it takes some time.
All of us are.
It takes some time to get into that. But if you have a good mindset of what each of those mean, then, and especially with the example that we've had this year, if a lot of people during COVID would have had like 6 months worth of living expenses saved up in that savings fund, then that would have really helped a lot of people out that may have lost their job. So it's just really important savings funds to think about. College expenses, parents right now that are really wanting to, that maybe have younger children that are wanting to put their, children through college later on. If you could put away a little bit every time you get paid. Now, yeah, there's funds available, like federal grants available and loans available too, but there's still going to be some expenses that you'll have to, that you'll incur during that time that your kid's going through college. So if you could have a little bit saved up, then it will help you out tremendously. And then, like we said earlier, that retirement, that last step in life that you want to start planning for so early in life. And I hear even friends of mine, I hear, well, I haven't started my retirement yet. I haven't started my 401k through my job. Take advantage of the retirement, accounts and the savings that your job offers you. Just think about it, look into it, and just think about those different savings types. I think that they'll really help.
Okay, so some good information there, and you should see on your screen here, you'll see some of those different types, just a little bit of an explanation. With that savings piece and having debit cards, I can fondly remember my niece telling me some years ago, when I said we were looking for one of the parking decks, and I said, well, I don't have any cash. And she said, but you have your debit card, so that just works everywhere. That's what a lot of us think. And a lot of times as kids, you think, oh, you have a card, you can just always use it. And that's not always the case. That card, you have to have money on it, or else you'll incur fees. So one of the pieces that you've put together here talks about that cash method.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about that. Is this similar to what Dave Ramsey has taught with using different envelopes or what have you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I've done a lot of research on this, and this is probably one of my favorite topics. I've actually implemented it for my family as well too. I think Dave Ramsey. I have not actually listened to his, his speech on it, but I think that he does speak to it. But it is perfect for saving for individual things. So, and like I said earlier, some people store your cash different ways, but it's the same method all the way around. So you could use envelopes, you could use bank accounts. A lot of people don't realize that you can have more than one account. And with us at MembersFirst Credit Union, you can have multiple savings account, multiple checking accounts. Okay. So just to give you an example, you could have one regular savings account, and that could be your account that you save for your regular funds, like we talked about earlier. You could have your bill account. That's what me and my husband call it, your bill checking account. That's the account that you put some money in, and that's the money that you pay for your bills, your mortgage, your car payment, your car insurance, all of those things. You have an entertainment account. We all like to go out to the movies, go out to eat. We all like to go have some fun when we can. This past year's been a little different, but when we can go out, we all like to go out and have a little bit of fun, or renting movies, whatever your entertainment is for your family. Have a little account or an envelope for that, right? If you're trying to build if you're trying to build and fix credit, say you're trying to go through like a credit repair program, some people have what they call a past due account or a past due envelope. That's the money that they're using to take care of that past due debt that they weren't able to take care of in the past. So they're able to kind of put that money away and take care of those past dues. So it will help with their credit, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. Emergency savings. So just think about each thing that you or your family need, and get your income that comes in, however you have that coming into your accounts, and then you just sort out however much money you can afford to each of those payment methods. And then when, say, you go to the grocery store and you're ready to buy your groceries, if you only have $200 in that envelope account, then that's how much money you can spend on your groceries. That's how much you've allotted for on that pay period. And what it does is it helps you manage your money better. So when you do use that debit card, like you said, you know that money is in that account where you pull from that envelope, you know it's in there, and you don't go into the negative and you don't overspend. And it's a better way of managing your money and helping you stay focused on whatever your financial goals are.
So just some great tips. It really helps you with budgeting. And one of the things that I've seen from people who have used that envelope method is that they tend to have more money in doing that, because it actually helps them to have something tangible. They can see, okay, well, yeah, going out to eat at this restaurant, knowing that it's going to cost me $40 and I only have 30 in this account or in this envelope, that may not be the best plan. I may need to either find something that's a little bit less expensive, or I may just have to put that particular piece off, or if I can shift some things around. But again, it gives you something tangible that you can look towards. So just a great budgeting tip there. That envelope method, even if you just have a budget written out, if you prefer not to use cash as much, which right now we aren't doing as much, but it's still so that you have that kind of mapped out for yourself.
Yes,
So you
exactly.
mentioned credit, and that's one of the areas where people kind of get into trouble. And I know you have different types. You have unsecured and then secured. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that impacts us and what we're able to do?
Yeah, so having different types of credit on your credit report is very important. So to give you an example, secured loans is anything that is secured by an item. So a vehicle obviously is a secured loan. Your house is a secured loan. And having both types shows that you're managing your money properly, because the majority of us have secured and unsecured debt. So unsecured debt is an example of that. It's like a personal loan. Like right now, we have our holiday loan promotion going on. If one of our members wanted to take advantage of that loan, it's considered an unsecured loan. It is money given to you based on your credit that you pay back. And it's not considered secure because we can't come and take it back. You've already spent it, right? So having both types of credit on your report and then managing it all properly is what can help you have a healthier credit report.
Okay. And that actually leads into credit worthiness, because when you're going out, I know even when I graduated high school and went into college and was trying to get my own cell phone, I wasn't able to, not because I had a bad credit score or anything like that. I just didn't have any credit.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that standpoint, they had nothing to look at to tell, whether or not I would be able to pay back or pay those bills. And so that leads, into that whole credit worthiness piece, because a lot of times people say just avoid credit cards at all costs. Not always the best thing, correct?
Yeah, so I always recommend our younger generation to start off with a small dollar credit card. Now, at the age of 18, you have to be on, if you get a credit card or any type of credit, you have to have a parent or guardian. So the younger generation, and especially the ones I've helped with Savannah Chatham County School System, I always recommend, talk with your parent or guardian. But when you get ready to start establishing credit, see if you can start with like a $500 credit card. Because you're right, you have to start somewhere, because you don't just have credit. You have to prove to the creditors and banks and credit unions and lenders that you are credit worthy, meaning that you will pay back whatever they let you borrow, right? So if you start out with, say, a $500 credit card, maybe go and get a tank of gas a couple times that month, turn around and pay it off. Go out to eat a couple times, pay it off. Purchase little things and pay it off, and you're starting to build a report showing that you can manage that. And then maybe, the next time, you can maybe up your credit limit after you do that for a certain amount of time. And all of that is just showing that, the money that you have, you can manage it well. Now, one thing that you have to be careful with credit cards is if you max out your limit, that will decrease your score. And a lot of the individuals that I help are not aware of that. That is a percentage of your credit score, that just maxing that out. And it's very, very difficult. And it's very difficult, but it's very easy to do. But say if that limit is $500 and you get up to $400, $450, that's showing that you're not managing it well. You're using your credit card for too many things, and you're not budgeting, like using that cash envelope method, you're not budgeting your funds well. So yeah, it's very important to try to determine what you can afford, start with that low balance credit card and kind of slowly start building. Another thing to help you become credit worthy, especially with our younger generation, is maybe a first time car buyer program. We offer a program at the credit union, and I'm sure other banks and credit unions probably do as well, but we offer a really good first-time car buyer program that we can help our younger generation get into a vehicle. And, that's one really good way to start showing that you are credit worthy by making those vehicle payments on time, and that really will help boost your credit score.
Okay, so that, some great tips there with steps to establishing that good credit. Of course, you want to have a budget. Don't get more than, don't look at it as, oh, there's just all this money there. No, you have to eventually pay that back. So make sure that you're budgeting. But the steps that you've given us are ways that we can establish good credit. So paying our bills on time, having a regular savings, even if it's that you're just putting $5 or $10 a week into that, account, making sure that you aren't incurring those overdraft fees when you spent more than what you have. You don't want to do that. You want to try to avoid that at all costs. But one other piece is, and I think a lot of people don't do this until they find out that something's wrong, and that's with monitoring your credit report. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? I know you're able to get so many free per year, but it's important to monitor your credit report as well.
Yes, very. We're all human, obviously, and the people that input our credit information when we buy a car, anything that has to do with our credit, it's, human entered, right? So any human can, mess up and hit the wrong button when it comes to Social Security numbers. So monitoring on both levels to see kind of how your credit is going, what your score is, but then also monitor it to make sure everything that you've done is on your report and it's not something that you haven't done. But then another thing that you can make sure that you look at and think about, and in regards to your credit score and your credit report, are the factors that kind of go into that report. And we've talked about it a little bit today. Obviously your payment history is going to be number one. It's like 35% of your score is that payment history, and just making your payments on time. And I tell everyone I help, I do counseling sessions individually with individuals in our community, and I always tell everyone, if you can't make that payment on time, contact that creditor who you owe that money to, and just say, hey, I've run into a little bit of a hard time. Can you give me another week? Communication is key in every relationship. But your payment history is 35% of that score, so that's huge. And then the capacity, how much, making sure that that's 30% of your score, but the amount that's available on your, on that piece of credit, make sure that you're not maxing that out. The age of the accounts. If you've got, say, a Visa credit card that you've paid on time every single time, but you have paid it off and you don't have anything else on there, don't close that card out. Don't close positive history on your credit report. You want creditors to say, okay, they had a credit card and they've paid that credit card off, and I see that positive history. So the age of the accounts is important. So there's little other things that's involved with that as well, but those are the major things that are kind of into, that factors into that credit score. So when it comes to looking at your report, you want to look for all of those things to make sure the information is accurate. Make sure you have a good credit report that has secured and unsecured debt on it, managing that well based on your budget, and making sure that you make those payments on time.
So those were some great things, that we have to make sure that we're paying attention to, not just that you have the cards, not just that you're paying your bills on time, but also making sure, that someone has not entered something incorrectly, that someone else hasn't gained access to your private or personal information and is using your credit in a negative way. And then also just those things that make up our credit and help us to, again, build that credit worthiness. Now, if someone, finds where they have gotten themselves into trouble, I know you mentioned that you provide credit counseling for individuals, but are there also some other agencies in the area that provide that service as well for our families, in addition to Members First?
Yeah, I'm sure there's several probably banks and credit unions that you can go to. There's family credit counseling. I may have the
Mhm.
name wrong, but also just doing a quick search on Google and trying to find some of the information just to kind of get started with learning of kind of what you need, and then whenever you do go and you sit down with somebody, have all of your questions laid out, have your all the information ready so that person can help you. And everyone's financial outlook, everyone's financial goals is completely different. So I always recommend, do what's best for you and your family, do your research, find somebody comfortable that you're talking with. And I think that will, help, because if you have that comfort level, 'cause it's such a private discussion. So
Mhm.
having that comfort level and knowing who you're talking to and that trust, I think will help the outcome so much more. And we really want all of the people that we help, the families and everything. We want the best for everyone, and we want that financial goal, whatever it may be. We want to help you reach that goal. So I think definitely doing your research and kind of seeing what's in the area goes a long way.
Yeah, and just make sure, again, that you're using a verified source. So whether that's Members First, I know it can be intimidating, but get it from a verified source and not necessarily. I know there are a lot of places that advertise that they can help, but sometimes they end up doing more damage than they do, good. So make sure you're contacting those banks, financial institutions to find out what services they offer. Again, Members First is a great resource here, always been a great partner for us. But also you do have Consumer Credit Counseling of the Coastal Empire. They offer some services as well to help our families. So we've talked about a lot, how to establish your credit, how to build. Let's kind of talk about some of the things, the opportunities that Members First offers for our families. One of them being a student account. I see here that you offer those as early as age 13.
Yes, we do. So one thing that we like to focus on at the credit union is we all need to start somewhere with our finances. So we have what we call our life stage accounts. And actually, as long as you have a social security number for your baby, you can get a savings account. So we start with what we call our Save-A-Saurus savings account. And you can bring your baby in. We'll get the account started, like I said, at whatever age. And whenever they do become, to the proper age, we kind of help them start learning, what a deposit is, what a withdrawal is. So you bring them into the credit union. They get to choose like coins from a little treasure chest. They get a piggy bank. So they get a kit of little supplies. And it's just kind of starting to teach them at that age what banking is, and how important it is to start those savings goals early. And then starting at the age of 13, we have our See You Succeed account. And that is a savings account that's kind of prepping them more for their teenage years and to get them started with a checking account at the age of 16. And all of the accounts that we offer, there's no minimum balance requirements and no monthly maintenance fees. So it's a great way to help them, just learn, the steps of banking. They get that debit card at the age of 16. So we kind of educate them, like we talked about earlier. You don't just swipe, swipe, swipe. You need money in the account. So yeah, we have a great student program at whatever age. And then at the age of 18, the parent or guardian comes off of the account. And then at the age of 22, the Save-A-Saurus account, the See You Succeed program kind of ends, and they go into a regular checking account of their choice.
Okay. All right. So just some great pieces. And again, we're not trying to tell you have to go to Members First or any of those pieces. But again, just a great way, a great opportunity with someone who is going to help walk you through that process. A great way for you to begin to develop those good money management habits. great ways, these things when you see high school students and they become adults, these are not, tips and skills that they just gain overnight. We have to teach those things. And it starts, that Save a SARS account, teaching our kids at a young age, like what I had to do with my niece. Yeah, just because you have that card does not mean that you automatically have money that you can, spend towards that particular thing at the time. So, those are just some important pieces to help you with building that strong credit and getting you on a sure financial footing, which ultimately can impact your overall well-being and health. Because if you're worried about money and those kind of things, sometimes it can, negatively impact your health. So Ashley, we covered a whole lot here for our families, and we do have your contact information here on the screen for those who would like to contact you. But is there anything else, any closing remarks that you would like to leave with our viewers?
Yes, I would love to just encourage anyone to just come sit down, like schedule a meeting with me. Let's just talk. We do have great products and services at the credit union, but I fully believe in making sure that you're comfortable and you have the right resources for your banking. Like I said earlier, your banking is a very private matter, but I'd love to help you any way that I can. Just come sit down. You can bring your children with you or your family or just you. And let's just have a conversation and see if I can kind of help you and help reach your financial goals so you are happier financially and have that comfortable financial well-being like we've talked about.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope that you were able to take some information away from the session that will help you in developing your financial well-being and your financial health. That financial literacy piece, again, is an important component of us helping as counselors, helping students to transition to those next phases in life. So we want to thank Ashley Dubois. We also want to thank MembersFirst for their continued support. And again, check out the slides at the end. If you have questions, we have those slides available and you can find more information. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.